Hello and welcome to Under Construction, Restoring the Whole Woman. I'm your host, Cynthia Martin, here with my beautiful co-host, Sonia Marie, and we are her conscious life experts and holistic thriving advocates. This is a weekly broadcast where we share unconventional wellness ideas, courageous conversations about perseverance, authenticity, and reclaiming our power as modern mindful women. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Sonia. So happy to be back with you. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I'm so excited about our month of May.
Yes, it's the month of moms for May. So we're excited for different reasons. And, a lot of times we kind of get caught up in the fluffy, girly, sensitive part of the month, right? Because it's like, I think we need more than a month to celebrate ourselves as moms because the struggle can be very real, as we all know. But one of the things, as we committed onto this show, we want to share things that other people are not talking about, and to help us get a better sense of ourselves, and in sharing stories that we can realize that there's others dealing with the same things that we are, that it's not always glamorous in the way it's portrayed in the Hallmark cards, right? And it's like, and we're going to share a little bit of the other side of what it is to be a mom, and just bring a little mom truth, right? And laugh, cry, smile, whatever it is that that your heart feels compelled to. The whole point is that we want you to bring your heart forward and know that you are loved and appreciated, and that we can all get to a place where we're nurtured from the inside out, starting with ourselves, and that we can find greater satisfaction in the role. And I know that you hear a lot of moms out there, because it's taboo to say that being a mom kind of sucks sometimes. But it does, and that's okay, and we're gonna be honest about it. But we love the journey, and we're very grateful for all the gifts that it brings. But we also want to talk about the messy bits, because that's the part that most of us don't have the guts or the courage to do. So before that, as always, our beautiful Sonia is going to do a little heart centering. We set our intention beforehand, and we do our own little process before we get on with you guys. So we agreed that getting ourselves into our hearts to take a little space and time for ourselves where it's very sacred is appropriate and much needed. So take it away, Sonia.
Okay, so today you don't have to close your eyes if you don't want to, but really I think it makes it a little bit easier when we are in a quiet place where we can center ourselves and close our eyes, because we can actually, I think, go deeper within. Sometimes if we're not used to practicing that way or being present, it's a way to slow down things when you're not visually seeing things. But so please do whatever is best for you. But today is about setting intentions, about centering ourselves and bringing love back to ourselves. So if you choose to close your eyes, go ahead and do it.
Can I just ask for the ladies to place their hands on their hearts as well, so that they can actually feel their own heartbeat? It adds a little bit of something to it. So
that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic idea. So I want you to really go within, and I want you to find that place in your heart where you receive love. And I want you to be in a place of understanding that you yourself get to filter out what you receive and what you don't receive. So go to a place where you feel extremely safe within your heart. And I want you to understand that love comes in all shapes and sizes and forms, and in amounts, in different ways. And whatever that means for you, if it's sitting in nature and that makes you feel like you can connect to love, that is a good place to connect from as well. So I want you to just inhale in and exhale out. And I want you to bring your thoughts inward into that heart space, and feel the warmth underneath your hand, right above your heart. And I want you to feel a sense of peace and joy, receiving, accepting, unapologetically, understanding that you are love, you are from love, you give love. Every part of your being embraces love. And I want you to feel that wash over your entire body from the top of your head to your tip of your toes with each inhale in. Just bring in calm and peace and openness to be able to receive all the love and the messages that we are going to send to you today, so that we help you understand your own journey as well in finding your self-worth, your own self-love, and the beauty within. One more inhale in and exhale out. You can slowly open your eyes when you're ready. And thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you for that. And I think that's important for all of us ladies, because we clearly live in a time where busy is most people's mode of operandum, right? It's like their MO. And with what's wrong with that is that there's very little space for us to connect with ourselves, and because our focus is completely outward in the to-do lists and the schedules and the demands and the expectations, and doing that little exercise, just even holding your heart, there's a connection, a physical connection back to ourselves, and directing your focus inward, almost even when you close your eyes, if you direct your eyes downward as if you're looking at your heart, brings it's part of mindfulness, right? Is bringing that awareness back into your body. And that's it's very significant in mindfulness, is like being present to where you're at in those moments. And it's those moments that we need for our mind and our hearts and our bodies to breathe, right? To take those moments and receiving, right, Sonia? Like, receiving is such a problem for most women, where not just women, men as well, but especially people who are givers, right? Like, we wear that as a badge, of honor. Like, oh, I'm a giver. Like, well, shit, if you're a giver, then you should know how to receive, right? Like, that's it's an exchange, and everything that is associated with energy, there's always an exchange going on. We have to engage in that process in receiving, because in the receiving, that's right. Isn't there that adage that says it's like there's a bigger gift in the giving because you receive so much more.
Right.
And
there is no giving without receiving.
Exactly.
So you can't truly give anything from your heart without, and it's not that you're wanting to get something back in exchange. What it automatically gives you back in exchange, and you receiving that love back in return, shows the amount of love that you're actually giving forth to begin with. So
exactly.
But
most of us are rejecting it, don't you think? Like, in the clients that you've worked with all these years, and in the clients and relationships that I've had all these years, there's this common thread where it's like, oh, no, right? Like, denying help. Well, guess what? Help is love.
It's love for yourself.
Love for you. That means somebody else cares enough for you to say, hey, I want to help you. And then you go, oh, no, I can do that by myself. Right?
Right.
And
I dishonoring them when we don't allow them to help us.
Absolutely. So I think this is kind of the direction we want to go, and get you ladies, especially, because moms come in all shapes and sizes, right? Moms, we're all mothers to some degree, whether we have children born of us, whether we care for children. Teachers are mothers. Like, they spend more time with our children than we do, in adolescence. And you know, if you're a caregiver, if your babies have fur, like we're accessing that mother part of our hearts, right? That's how we were wired. That's how we are born. That's how we're here. This part of our contribution to bringing beauty to the world is through the nurturing and compassion that we naturally have within us, right? And we're going to share a little bit about our story, because before the show we were, you know, reconnecting and kind of making realizations how certain events in our lives have kind of come to bring us a gift in awareness, and realizing the expectations that we put on ourselves as women and as mothers, right? And I think it really, in the month of moms, it's like we're honoring our stories, and share with you our stories, and which are very much a part of this show, because everything that had culminated was the reason why we were catalyzed on a journey to be of service to others within our gifts, the knowledge that we bring, and the desire to help you improve your lives, just and to live more authentically, and live with the grace of what we're all born to have, and that's like to have happiness and joy and satisfaction in our lives, right? So that being said, I'm going to ask Sonia to share her story, and this may end up being a two-part, just because there's two of us here, and we really want to ask all of you who are listening, just honor yourselves and honoring us as well as we do share this story, and know that our intention is to bring awareness to things that maybe you guys have been suffering silently with. And remembering that asking for help is a form of loving yourself. Okay. And we are here to help you, if it's through, you know, connecting with us. I know we're in our transition phase and getting the dynamics of this whole tribe building thing together. So even if we haven't been on Facebook actively, we're planning to, and you just message us, we'll figure out a way how to connect and be better at that. So that being said, Sonia, you know, one of the things that connects us is the struggle that we both experience in our own way, and our catalyst into this kind of work was our entry into motherhood. So please do us the honor and share your story. And a lot of people who know you don't even know this story, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So
A lot of people, I haven't shared this with many. I was part of a book last year called She, and it's Share, Heal, Empower. And this beautiful author actually chose 24 women that she met over her life. And she chose them because of their stories, and she asked to share, and we were part of each chapter. And not that my story was any more important than anyone else's story. Everyone's story was so profoundly life-changing for everyone who read it, and the feedback we got, which is what encouraged me to then maybe share more of my story. And what she was saying is, Sonia, I can write a book on you. She was like, one chapter, I don't even know how to shorten it. And so, you know, and I told her, I said, that's only one story. And she says, you really need to share this. So I'm going to share part of a story that nobody really knows. Very few, even of my own family, knows about it. But long story short, I was married when I was 21 by choice, and I for 3 years we got married and wanted to start a family really young. I wanted to have kids when I was younger so that I can have a vibrant life with them, and be really active with my kids. And so I chose to have them early. And I think something as moms or as women, when we are in the nurturing part of our life, where we automatically feel like what we have to offer is having, having a baby. And we just think that automatically we will get pregnant and this will happen. Well, for a lot of people, not so. And I remember trying for 3 years and going to doctors and testing and testing and testing. And they were like, we really can't find anything wrong. We don't know why you can't get pregnant. And then my expectations were, I must be doing something wrong. There must be something off. And I was a little more stressed out than I thought I was. And my doctor says, you need to just stop thinking about it and you'll get pregnant. And until I was blue, I'd say, I'm not thinking about it, right? And of course, it's your every waking moment in your subconscious. I actually stopped thinking about it and just started going through the process of adopting and starting to take care of my body in a different way, because I got a modeling contract and I really forgot about having my own baby. And 8 months later, I was pregnant. So that journey started, and then I was put in bed with my pregnancy immediately. I went into premature labor. I was put on bed rest at 3 months into my pregnancy, where I was really far away from my family. And that started a chain of events of being isolated. Had no family, had no friends. My husband worked all day and night. I was alone my whole pregnancy. He had a really bad accident. I got a phone call saying my husband was dying and wasn't going to make it through the evening. He's an athlete, he was. And so I went to the hospital, and then I was in full labor at 10 weeks out, which started a chain of events that I almost died giving birth and was fighting for my life for 15 days. So this is part of the story that most people do know. My son was in ICU fighting for his life. My husband at the time was at another hospital fighting for his life. And they didn't think I was going to make it either. We were all in ICU. My expectation was I'm going in and, I have been on bed rest. And of course, now that I've been taking care of myself, my baby's going to be fine. Well, that didn't happen. And what I found is I came out of the hospital 43 pounds heavier than I arrived pregnant. I had 4 chins. I couldn't walk. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't control my muscles. I was 25 years old and didn't know what kind of life I was going to be leading. My baby couldn't come home with me until later. And we were all recovering at the same time. So very, very young age. So that was my first tap on my back of God saying, pay attention. You need to take care of yourself. You need to put yourself first and stop doing for everyone. 6 months into healing myself, I went for an exam, and I was then told that I had uterine cancer. This is the story that most people don't know about me. So I was now 26 at this time. And the doctor says, this is serious. You're 26 and we need to do chemo. We need to do radiation. We need to jump on it right now. Your body's strong enough to be able to handle this. We need to go into this process. What I learned, not that I'm stubborn, what I learned is that having the first scenario of my life flash before me, not knowing if I was going to make it, if they were going to induce a coma 6 months before that, is that I went to the doctors and they told me I needed to eat less and exercise more. They had my chart. They didn't even read it. If they knew why I had 4 chins at that time, it was toxemia. It's not about I wasn't eating right and I needed to exercise. I had toxins in my body. So I took their their suggestions and really started starving my body and exercising 6 days a week while trying to take care of a new baby and barely able to get out of bed myself. I was in pain. I was disgusted with myself. I was humiliated. My husband was a very fit athlete, and here was his, big wife that's waddling around from this disease, right? But these were all expectations that I put on myself, and that's in our relationship, being in the limelight, that we put out there, that we were supposed to look and feel and be a certain way. Yeah. And I was embarrassed. And in that, I knew that the doctors, one, were not going to heal me, and I had to take life into my own hands, and I had to start healing myself. So I started to research toxins, because that was the key word, right? That was what was going on within me. And my intuition was telling me it's not about the exercise, and starving yourself is not going to do this. So you're going to have to be patient with yourself. You're going to have to love yourself in this huge form that you're in this body that doesn't even feel like it's yours. With a baby that's up all night and having problems that you need to care for, and you're going to be splitting your energy doing that with a ex-husband that is narcissistic and needs all of your attention. And I was so far from myself. I was unrecognizable, physically, mentally, energetically. And when they talk about, hitting rock bottom, I was so far below rock bottom that honestly, and I know it sounds cliche that their only way is up. I mean, your head is just above the rocks. What else are you going to do but try to crawl back out of there? And so I decided that it didn't matter how long it was going to take for me to do this, that one, I was going to fight for my son, because I wasn't going to go out this way. I wasn't going to, at 26, not be here for my new baby. So I used that because I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't even put makeup on. I couldn't walk to the mirror. I wouldn't even try clothes on. I would stay in my sweats and my wardrobe, my big muumuus of my pregnant clothes, because I couldn't identify with that person. And that was okay for me if I just took one step every day to do something better so I could be here for my son. And at that moment is when I decided that I was going to live, basically. I was not going to give up. I was going to fight, and I was going to heal myself. And I knew that I knew the answers within. I wasn't going to get answers with it on the outside. I wasn't going to get it from doctors. I wasn't going to get it from a therapist. I wasn't going to get it from my mom or, my family members. I had to go so far in here that I decided that I'm going to connect with my God and my spirit and my universe of what I feel is my truth from love. And I'm going to love myself so much that I'm going to be patient. And it's going to be hard. I'm going to try until I heal my own body, because I knew I could. I knew that I had only lived 26 years. And if it took me 26 years to get in the body I was in, maybe it's going to take me 26 years to get out of it. And that's fine. And so I decided to go on that journey and take care of my body and learn and heal and be patient and keep finding those little outlets to go within and not have to figure it out, not have to know the answer. Be okay with what I did for myself today. And what I got in exchange of that is people going, how are you doing this?
The superwoman.
Where are you finding this energy? And I had very little energy to give. And I would say, today's another day. And they would say, how can you be so positive? Your husband almost died and your son almost died and you almost died. And they didn't know I was battling cancer at the time. What I decided, and I didn't tell my family members, my ex-husband and my doctor are the only two people that knew. And not until this last year in 2008 did I even let people know.
2018?
Huh?
2018?
That's right. And I didn't share this until I shared a story within the book. And I told her, I said, you know what? I didn't even give you this story. And she says, you must share it. And I went to a new doctor and she says, you need to let your boyfriend know that this is in your past. And then every year you're checking in to make sure that the cancer hasn't come back. And the really funny thing about that is I had the same doctor for 30 years, so I never spoke about it. We went in, everything was clear, everything was fine, because I decided it was going to be. And after about 9 months, there were no form of cancer in my body. I was almost 27 at the time, and the cancer was gone.
And that was a big part. Well, and you said
that was my journey to do what has led me to what I am still doing today, is sharing and teaching women that we have so much control over our own body. We need to stop giving it up to others as a way of, and I'm not saying there's not a place for doctors and healers and any of that. Your journey is your journey. I'm saying choose your journey. Be the CEO of your own body. Be the person that decides what is best for you by checking into your heart and keep asking yourself, is this right for me? And if there is a resistance in your body, it's not right for you. If every ounce of your body says, yes, I need to go to that doctor and that feels good and these medications feel good for me, then that is your truth and that's where you go. I am saying that it's individual. But honor and respect yourself as a loving being that already knows the answer. And when you feel at peace with your answer of how to go about something, that is your truth. That is your path. That's how you acknowledge how you move forward with healing yourself. And so in sharing that, I just shared last year with the guy I've been dating for 9 years.
So how does that, and thank you, Sonia, because it is hard for us to be vulnerable and tell this side of our lives, because it's really easy. And the core of what drove this conversation is what we talked about beforehand, is the realization of how expectations play into the quality of our life. And, you said something very significant. And I think this is part of why we're so committed to bringing awareness and understanding and loving ourselves by asking for help. Because, you said that you had to be bedridden, pregnant, alone. Like, where on this planet is that okay? How is that okay? And not that you need to have somebody there 24 hours, but it's like, we suffer in silence a lot of the time, right? And so, you've had all this awareness. How have you seen the impact of that experience in your relationship with your kids as a mom?
Yeah, it's really amazing how this comes about and how this shifts. And to clarify, I was alone because I had just moved from the East Coast to California. So I didn't have friends yet. I didn't have any family members around. And literally my husband would make a sandwich and stick it in an ice chest on the side of my bed because I couldn't walk down the stairs in my home to even go to my kitchen to feed myself.
Right.
And so there was literally no one. And that exchange, right, as a mom, of feeling alone, I in exchange gave that to my baby.
Yeah.
Right, that I was birthing within. My outlet was I was making a blanket and I was listening to music, but I did a whole lot of crying. I did a whole lot of feeling alone. I did a whole lot of being in a space of not expecting my pregnancy to be this way. So I put all of these labels of that expectancy of, I'm going to be like every other pregnant woman. I'm going to glow and I'm going to be walking around and everybody's going to say, oh, let me kiss your belly. And there was none of that. I had none of that. I had no one, even unless I was on a phone, connecting me even being pregnant.
Absolutely.
Right? So it was the doctors and the nurses checking on me morning and night to make sure that I was safe. So I was always in this state of feeling like you don't know what is happening and going on. And my oldest son, he's 26 now, and I honestly believe this is why he is ADHD. This feeling of this unknown and always searching, and not that he can't be alone, he can be alone, but always needing that reassurance of love and protection, right? Because I didn't feel protected. I didn't know each and every day if I was going to go into labor. I was basically going into labor as my 3rd month on. So just the unknown and the safety and nurturing that you want to give your baby. I wasn't giving him that in exchange because I was always in this fearful state of not knowing what I was going to expect and be the next day. I had to test morning and night how many contractions I was having. And then I had to send it to a report over the phone way back in the day. This is telling you how old I was. Through this system of a belt I was wearing around my belly, through a phone system where it took an hour to send it to the nurse's station. And then they would say, you had this many contractions an hour. So twice a day, I'd wait to see if I had to go to the hospital or if I can stay in bed another day with my baby.
And that's the fear that overcomes a lot of people, not just in this scenario. And I'm grateful that your boys are healthy, and they have their challenges, but they're healthy, they're strong, they're powerful individuals, and they're not defined by challenges, which I love about your boys. But it's in the work that I do in the science of in epigenetics and neuroscience and all that, epigenetics, they have shown in studies, and they've actually proven it, that the state that the mother and father are in mentally, emotionally, and even the physical stuff that's going on from conception and through the pregnancy is transferred to the babies. And the reason being is because babies need a mechanism in which to survive the environment that they're being born into. That's how intelligent the human being is from the minute that they're born, right? So, and I admire you and acknowledge you, because it's like you've had to fight your whole life in so many different ways, right? And you've advocated for your children and your son, and you advocate for people like that. That's part of your design, and we've talked about this, right? But what would you say now to the 25 and 26-year-old version of you, realizing what you've learned?
And growing up as a young mom, that's a really good point. I used to say, all the time, I almost died giving birth, and my kids together at a young age would go, yeah, mom almost didn't make it because of you. And not until just recently, a few years ago, that I got this gift from you, Cynthia. So thank you. That verbiage, right, is really not great. And what it really meant and is he really saved me.
Mm.
He himself, they brought him at 3 pounds 8 ounces to me in a Christmas stocking. and handed him to me when I was in this complete state of almost in a coma. And they would showed me his little hairy face because he was a newborn. And they said to me, they said, if you want to live and you want to be here for your baby, you need to fight to live. And they would hang him over the top of me and show me his face to give me something to fight for.
Yeah.
And I know now we're both getting emotional because I wouldn't be here if he didn't give me that fight. I was tired. I didn't know what was happening. I had just given birth at an emergency C-section, and I was dying. And that fight, seeing that little face, made me go, no, he needs me. And still today, even when I was with you a couple of times, Cynthia, I all of a sudden, right, got a horrible pain in my side. And I'm like, that's so weird. Holy cow, I don't even know. And I'm really on with my nutrition and everything's been fine. And why do I have this dull pain in my side? And it's so strange. It's really bugging me. And I kept thinking of my son all day, and I'm wondering if he's okay. And I am sitting down with you, and we're talking, and you're like, is everything okay with your son? I'm like, that's so weird you asked. I was thinking the same thing today. And I said, I've been feeling really off today. And right when I said that, I got a text from my son's girlfriend going, Josh is not feeling good at 11 o'clock today. And I had just told you exactly when my pain started.
We had just had our session.
The exact same time, he was literally on the floor in pain, and he was having really bad pains in his side to the point he was curled up in a ball in pain. And she sent me a message, can you please tell me how to help him because he's in a lot of pain? And literally I just started sobbing and sending him good energy, and then holistically telling her how to nurture him. And I'm like, wow. And as soon as we did that, that pain went away. Weird. I didn't feel the pain in my body anymore. He started to feel better. It was just, and so that feeling and that connection that we have with our kids are so profound. And he and I are so unbelievably connected. And he lives in Miami, and I live in California. And we are still always connected. And I think this is why we get so emotional. And our emotion comes from the pains that we went through, but it's also from the joys that we get out of how far we've come, and what a beautiful thing it is to know and be able to share with people that it's so much deeper than the things that we say and the things that we experience. We see it in such a negative light, and it's such a teaching tool of love and appreciation and that miracle that we got. It's so opposite of what we're constantly telling ourselves of what a bad thing it is. If I did not have cancer at 26, I would not be helping people heal from cancer today. It's what guided me to what I did for 26 years and showing people, look, there's hope. You can do this.
Absolutely.
You have to decide. It's such a teaching tool and a place from love going, look, I love you. I understand. I feel your pains as a mom and as a woman. I know because I've been there. We can cry together, and I can go, let's do this. Absolutely. I want you to understand that hope, and I feel you. And I think this is where it's still hard, because it's still, I've just started in the last couple of years sharing these stories. So it's something I put away, and not to neglect what I was going through, but because people that I was around could not deal with that negative side of what cancer meant. Yeah. And I needed that not to be fed into me.
Yeah.
And I feel so much that my loved ones, and I love them dearly, I knew they would go, oh my God, oh no, are you okay? That was the reason why I chose not to tell anyone. My ex-husband knew and my doctor knew, and it was never spoke again of. And every day I got to build myself up because I got to go, it doesn't get to exist. And I'm not feeding it. And my loved ones, as much as they love me, cannot understand what I need from them. So therefore, just need them to love me like nothing is wrong, because nothing is wrong.
And you have a good point there, because and I'll share my story. This will be part 2, but what I've realized, and in both of us, we realize, and we see it with our clients, right? And we say this all the time: don't share your story with people who are not capable to meet your need, that you will end up meeting their need. And I think that's part of grieving as well, that people have challenges, and we'll do an episode on grieving. I really hope you go back to episode 10 and listen to our beautiful, her sister, Leslie Bareilles. She talked a little bit about her realization and how that affected her. But my point being here is, you and I are here in this place of sharing this story because we are well in our hearts and in our minds. Like, we are in the stage of our story, in our lives, in our journey, where our healing has come to a place of cultivating appreciation for that experience. And we are so strong in our minds and our hearts around it that we can share it. And that even if people don't know how to handle it right, that we could still share it and not be negatively impacted by it. So I think you have a great point in that, in not allowing other people to plant seeds of negative, or weeds. I call them the weeds of negativity in your healing process, because they worry, and it doesn't come from a place of malintent. It comes from a place of fear. And fear doesn't serve anybody. There's no God, there's no love in fear. And when I use the word God, I hope it doesn't create an aversion for you. It's like whatever that means to you, whether it's the universe, source, whatever. But it's like that thing that animates you, and that thing that makes your heart beat, and gives you strength from a different place beyond yourself, right? Whatever that is. And I thank you for that, because I think that's a big takeaway from your story, in that, one, you made the decision that you were not accepting. So thank you for the diagnosis. So this is something I tell people all the time. Thank you for the diagnosis. And now I have direction on where to go get my recovery and healing, and know what it is that I'm healing. But I don't accept it as my reality, as my truth.
It's where I'm starting. It's where I'm starting your journey. And we say, our words are our seeds that we're planting, and our thoughts feed fear. So if we're planting the right words, we're planting the right seeds. When we are trying to help nurture someone and help love someone, the best thing you could possibly do is just say, I'm here to support you. Tell me what you need, and tell me how I can love and help you. And that comes from such a different place to feed and help you than what the thoughts of what cancer means, and how that runs away into fear of what that means. And it's only what you've made that word mean, right? So that's what I mean by our thoughts. We feed fear with our thoughts. So we want to feed the seeds of what you need from a loving place. And that has no room for anything that's negative and ending. You're just starting, you're beginning.
Absolutely. So we can say it as you're either planting seeds or weeds, right? Yeah. And your words are either going to be the water that nurtures to help it grow, or they're going to be the poison to bring it to its end. So it's up to you, right? I do want to share, because you said a couple of things that I really are pertinent, and this is a part of us as moms that we don't honor enough, is our mom tuition, right? It's a real thing, and science is finally like giving proof behind that. They've actually found, so, you know, I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, I love sharing these little tidbits. But they've actually done studies where they have found the DNA of sons in the brains of mothers. And they did this study on the sons, on moms that had boys, because their DNA structure is different. They didn't do it on their daughters because it's too similar. Mm-hmm. But they've actually found that in a mom who was in her late 80s, still had her son's DNA in her brain. Wow. So we are entangled beyond just our characteristics and you know, what we gave them in their hair color and their eyes. Like, we are bonded chemically and genetically in our bodies and our physiology. So that's why you hear these stories over and over again. Like, you had that experience, and I was there to witness it, where your son is on the other side of the country, and in the moment he was having an experience, you did as well, right? And I have a number of stories, like, you know, my mom, I remember, and I'll share this one real quick because it relates, but my mom was going through a real difficult, devastating time in her life, when her expectations in her relationship with my father and my siblings, and she was alone too, because she lived in a place where she didn't have a lot of friends. All the friends that she had were through my father, and you know how that drama goes, right? And I'll never forget, it was in the middle of the night, I had this dream, and I found myself standing bedside telling my mom, because my mom had gotten to a place where a lot of us who are silently struggling and suffering emotional wounds, the invisible wounds that it's hard to ask for help, that she just was having this feeling like she just didn't want to wake up anymore. Like her situation, and I'm sorry, Mom, that I'm sharing this, but I think it's pertinent. And I found myself in this dream standing bedside going, there's no way in hell, lady, you need to get your ass up. Mm-hmm. And you have way too much to live for, and this is not who you are. And I'm not kidding you. Without even telling her, I called her first thing in the morning, early, because she was 3 hours ahead. Called her first thing in the morning. And I said, how are you feeling? And she goes, I had this bizarre dream that you were standing next to my bed and telling me to get up. And I started crying, and I'm probably going to cry right now. But it's like, that's the power of the mom tuition. And that's the power of love, that you can, you know, you don't necessarily have to be in the same place, in the same space as the people that you love dearly, that you can affect their life by sending your clear intentions of how, seeing them in their best. Yeah. Seeing them in their highest potential, seeing them in their greatest capacity. So my point in that is that you, with your thoughts and your words and how you see the people you care about, even if they're struggling, don't invest your energy, your time, attention, thoughts, and words into their struggle. Invest in their healing, invest in seeing the happiness, invest in seeing their joy, invest in seeing their success.
In their strength.
And their strength.
Yes.
That's how, as moms, we can affect our children, even if they don't live with us anymore.
Right. And even if you're not a mom, I mean, we all have mothers and we all have, you know, fathers, but even if we're not a mom, that same exact intuition that we're talking about, you still have it, because you're a nurturer, because you're a woman. We do it, and we give it to our friends and our coworkers, and you still have that same ability to connect when you go within with everyone you care about. If it's your fur baby, if it's, you know, your really close friends, which is why if we don't have our own children, why our friends are so important, and the people that we bring into our lives are so important to us, that we align ourselves with the people that aren't toxic and the people that love us back in the same way, so that intuitively you can connect and be in the place that your higher self is supposed to be, by the people you bring around you. So we all have the ability to do this, even with anyone that we care for, because we're women. We're amazing.
We're amazing. Yeah, we're women, and we can, and we will, right? So, but the source of greatest love has to come from within. My kids go to a school where mindfulness is taught, and my 5-year-old, um, over the weekend, Samantha, I don't remember what the context of the situation. So, she's been kind of processing how to be more kind and not get her way in the wrong way. And I asked her the question. I said, well, sweetheart, I said, why is it important for you to treat other people? Oh, because I was talking about the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. And I said, why do you think that rule is important? She said, well, I said, what happens when you treat others badly and you want them to treat you good, but you don't treat them good? And she says, oh, I take from their bucket. So they teach them that their heart has a bucket that we're responsible for filling, and that when we have enough overflowing, we can put in other people's buckets. Mm-hmm. And she's like, so I'm like, she's 5 years old and she gets it. She's like, okay, because I'm taking from your bucket. And I said, what happens when you take too much from somebody's bucket and you're not, putting any in return, and they don't have enough? She goes, then it's empty. And then what happens? Well, then they're sad and then they can't be happy. And I'm like, sister, you're 5 and you get it. Right? Yeah. So fill your bucket first is the point of that. Be bring the joy into your own life. Don't be looking for it in other places outside of yourself. You have the strength and the courage that is beyond your own conception in your mind. So we hope you appreciate it, and thank you for honoring us in listening to Sonia's story. Part 2 will be, I will share my story, because this is a story that's been wanting to come to the surface for many years, and I think the time has come. So look out for that. And again, if you didn't catch our last episode, episode 10 with Leslie Varela, please do. It's a great episode in an important realization in her journey that I think would support all of us around grief. So any other things you want to leave the wonderful audience with?
No, just in understanding as women, for this whole month, we're going to be pushing, loving yourself as a mom in all aspects of whatever that means for you. Just make sure that you are taking some time for yourself, some quiet time for yourself, because that's where all the nuggets and the miracles happen, in the quiet space and the quiet time that you go within. That's how you fill your bucket. So please do that. And if you want to add to our little buckets, yes, send us some heart love. We would love and appreciate that. And as well as sharing our YouTube videos with everyone you love, all those other moms that maybe need to hear this message and understand that we're here to help. Whatever the struggles are, we're going to be bringing these to our future episodes, getting information from you guys of what you would love to hear. We are always welcome to it and love to give back in that way as well. So please comment below.
Absolutely. And let us know, if there was an aha moment for you, or it triggered something that you needed to honor for yourself, and let's, be of service and hold that space for you. So that's what this is all about. Thank you so much. Happy blessings, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.